Welcome to the Realtors Podcast, your go-to resource for everything real estate. Whether you're a seasoned agent or just starting out, we provide actionable tips, market insights, and success stories to help you grow your business. Tune in for expert advice, industry trends, and the inspiration you need to thrive in the competitive world of real estate. Stay ahead of the game with the Realtors Podcast.
All right, so are you ready to dive into Toronto real estate?
It's a wild world out there.
It really is. We're talking about the housing market today, and things are, well, let's just say never boring.
Never boring is right.
We've got a great article here from the Canadian Magazine of Immigration called Toronto House Prices, September 2024. And we're going to go beyond just what a house costs right now. We'll rewind a bit, look at some trends, and see if we can make sense of this market.
Yeah, like we're time travelers going back to understand the present.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first things first. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. What's the average house price in Toronto as of September 2024?
It's a cool $1,068,700.
Hold on. Did you say over $1 million? I knew Toronto was pricey, but wow.
Yeah, it's a hefty number for sure. But it's important to remember that's an average. It includes all types of homes. So tiny condos to huge mansions. It takes all the sale prices and divides by the number of sales.
Right, because a downtown studio apartment versus a detached house in the suburbs, those are in completely different universes price-wise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that this average is actually down 4.6% from a year ago.
So does that mean the market is finally cooling down? Is the bubble bursting?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Let's look at the recent trends to see if we can get some clues. Imagine we're charting the price changes on a graph. What shape do you think it would have?
A graph, you say? Well, knowing Toronto, I'm guessing it wouldn't be a straight line. Maybe something more like a roller coaster.
You're getting warmer. If we plot the average prices for 2023 and 2024, you'd see a peak in April 2023, hitting $11,139,100. Imagine buying at the very top of that peak.
Talk about bad timing. You'd be feeling a little queasy watching those prices dip, wouldn't you?
Definitely. It highlights why it's so important to look beyond short-term fluctuations and understand the long-term trends. What we see after that April peak is a gradual descent, bringing us to the current average of $1,068,700.
Okay, so a bit of a downturn, but still over $1 million. Ouch. To put things in perspective, how does this compare to those crazy years back in 2020, 2021, and early 2022? Weren't prices going absolutely bonkers back then?
Oh, those were the days. January 2022 saw an average of $1,257,500.
$250,000 more than today. No wonder people were saying the market was overheating. What was driving that frenzy? Was it just a pandemic-fueled real estate fever dream?
Well, the pandemic definitely played a role. People wanted more space, and low interest rates made it easier to borrow money. It was a classic seller's market. Demand was high, and buyers were competing fiercely, driving up prices. Think bidding wars, offers over asking, and sometimes even waiving inspections just to get a foot in the door.
Sounds intense. So how do things look now? What's changed?
Well, for one, interest rates have climbed significantly, making those mortgages a lot more expensive. And as we've seen, buyer demand has softened. This has all contributed to the price correction we're seeing now.
Okay, so it's not just about that $1 million average. We've got a lot of moving parts here. Interest rates, demand, even the pandemic hangover. But let's get back to those different types of housing you mentioned earlier. What are some of the things that can make a huge difference in price?
You're right, it's not a one-size-fits-all market. As our article from the Canadian Magazine of Immigration points out, factors like the size of the home, its location, any fancy amenities, the age of the building, and even its overall condition can drastically impact the price.
So basically, a tiny condo in the heart of the action versus a sprawling family home in the suburbs are totally different beasts.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to understand that the average is just a starting point. You need to dig deeper, consider your specific needs, and honestly ask yourself a big question. Is homeownership even the right move right now?
Well, hold on. Are you saying owning a home might not be the dream it's cracked up to be?
Not necessarily, but it's a huge decision, and it's crucial to go in with your eyes wide open. In fact, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, has some sage advice for anyone even thinking about buying a home. They recommend considering 4 key points before taking the plunge.
Okay, I'm intrigued. This sounds like something our listeners need to hear. Let's unpack those 4 points, shall we?
Absolutely, but that's a story for part 2.
All right, cliffhanger alert. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back soon with more insights into the Toronto housing market, including the CMHC's wisdom. Welcome back to our Toronto real estate adventure.
It's a wild ride.
It really is. Last time we dropped a bombshell, the average house price is over $1 million.
But we also learned that this average doesn't tell the whole story, right?
Right. So a chic downtown condo and a suburban family home can exist in completely different price galaxies.
Exactly. And remember those 4 crucial points from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation?
Oh, yeah. They want potential buyers to really think things through.
Really think things through.
Okay, so let's get down to business. What's the first thing the CMHC wants us to consider before we even start browsing listings and dreaming of granite countertops?
Well, they call it checking your financial readiness. And it's all about making sure you're truly prepared for the financial commitment of owning a home. It's not just about the down payment.
So more than just seeing if you've got enough for that down payment.
Yeah.
What else is involved in this financial readiness check?
Imagine this. You finally landed that dream home. A charming Victorian in Cabbagetown, maybe. But before you start picking out paint colors, you need to take a good hard look at your income, your expenses, your debts, and your savings.
Okay, so the mortgage is just the tip of the iceberg. What other costs are lurking beneath the surface?
Think about things like property taxes. Those can be a significant chunk of change in Toronto. And there's homeowners insurance, utility bills, maintenance costs, and don't forget those unexpected repairs. A leaky roof or a busted furnace can really throw a wrench in your budget.
So the CMHC is basically saying, don't bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly. They want to make sure potential homebuyers aren't getting in over their heads. They recommend creating a realistic budget that includes all those potential expenses and then seeing if it aligns with your current financial situation.
Makes sense. It's like a financial reality check before you fall head over heels in love with a house you can't actually afford.
That's a great analogy. So once you've done that soul searching and the numbers look good, what's the next step on the CMHC's roadmap?
All right, so let's say I've crunched the numbers and I'm feeling financially confident. What's next? Do I start hitting those open houses?
Not so fast. The CMHC's second point is all about analyzing your situation and exploring your mortgage possibilities. It's about understanding what you can realistically borrow and what kind of monthly payments you can comfortably handle.
So it's not just about getting pre-approved for a mortgage. It's about finding the right mortgage for your unique situation.
You hit the nail on the head. There are so many different mortgage types, interest rates, and repayment terms out there. It can feel overwhelming, but doing your research and comparing options is crucial. Think of it like shopping for the perfect pair of shoes. You wouldn't just grab the first pair you see, would you? You'd try on a few, consider your needs, and find the best fit.
Okay, I'm getting the picture. It's about being proactive and informed, not just blindly accepting whatever the bank offers.
Exactly. Now imagine you've done your financial due diligence, you've explored mortgage options, and you're feeling pretty good about things. What comes next?
All right, I'm on the edge of my seat. Is it finally time to start house hunting? Can I finally unleash my inner Joanna Gaines?
You bet. The CMHC's third point is all about finding the right home for you. It's about defining your needs and wants, considering different neighborhoods, and actually getting out there and viewing properties. This is where things get really exciting.
Okay, I'm ready to hit those open houses and start envisioning my future life in a charming Toronto neighborhood.
Yeah.
But how do I make sure I'm not just getting swept away by the excitement and ending up with a house that doesn't actually meet my needs?
That's a great question. It's easy to get caught up in the thrill of the hunt, but this is where it's crucial to be practical and prioritize your needs. The CMHC recommends creating a checklist of your must-haves, nice-to-haves, and deal breakers.
So I need to think beyond just the aesthetics and consider the practical aspects, like how many bedrooms do I actually need? Is a backyard essential? Can I handle the upkeep of a century-old home?
Exactly. Think about your lifestyle, your future plans, and your budget. Do you need to be close to public transportation? Is being in a specific school district a priority? Do you want to be in the heart of the action or tucked away in a quiet neighborhood?
This is starting to sound like a lot of work.
It can be a bit overwhelming, but it's worth it to find a place that truly feels like home.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit. I've done my homework. I've toured countless properties, and I finally found the one. What's the final step in this home buying saga?
Well, hold on tight, because things are about to get real. The CMHC's fourth and final point is all about making an offer and navigating the closing process. This involves negotiating with the seller, getting a home inspection, finalizing your mortgage, and signing a mountain of paperwork.
It sounds like a whirlwind of activity. Is there anything else our listeners should be aware of as they embark on this final leg of the journey?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that the Toronto real estate market is known for its competitiveness, especially in certain neighborhoods. Be prepared for potential bidding wars, multiple offers, and the need to make quick decisions.
So it's not for the faint of heart. Sounds like I need to channel my inner negotiator and be ready to make some strategic moves.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to lean on the expertise of real estate professionals. A good real estate agent and a lawyer can be invaluable during this process.
It's like having a seasoned Sherpa guiding you through the treacherous mountain passes of the Toronto housing market.
I love that analogy. So there you have it, the CMHC's 4 pillars of wisdom for anyone venturing into the world of homeownership.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this episode, from deciphering average prices to navigating the mortgage maze and even channeling our inner negotiators. It's been quite a journey.
And we're not done yet. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll connect the dots between historical trends and current realities to see if we can predict what the future holds for the Toronto housing market.
Welcome back, fellow explorers. We've journeyed through the peaks and valleys of Toronto's housing market, from those eye-watering million-dollar averages
To the nitty-gritty of mortgage options.
right, and of course the CMHC's wise words of caution. Now let's put all the pieces together and see if we can make sense of where this market is headed.
It's like we've been assembling this giant jigsaw puzzle, and now it's time to reveal the final picture.
I love that. So let's look back at the road we've traveled. What were some of the key takeaways from our deep dive into the Canadian Magazine of Immigration's article on Toronto house prices?
Well, one thing that really stands out is just how dynamic this market is. I mean, we've seen prices skyrocket, dip, and then stabilize all within a few short years.
Yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster ride, from that steady climb of the late 2010s to the pandemic-fueled frenzy and the recent signs of cooling. It's clear that there's no such thing as a normal market in Toronto.
Exactly. And that unpredictability makes it even more important for potential buyers and sellers to be informed and prepared. We can't predict the future, but we can learn from the past and make strategic decisions based on current trends.
So what does this all mean for our listeners who are trying to navigate this ever-changing landscape? What are the key pieces of advice we can offer?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's crucial to remember that the Toronto housing market is a complex ecosystem influenced by a myriad of factors: interest rates, economic conditions, government policies, even global events.
So basically there's no magic formula or crystal ball?
Unfortunately, no. But that doesn't mean we're completely in the dark. By understanding historical trends, analyzing current data, and considering expert advice like those 4 gems from the CMHC, we can make informed decisions that align with our individual goals.
Okay, so knowledge is power. But how do we apply that knowledge to our own unique situations?
That's where things get really interesting. Let's imagine a few different scenarios. Let's say you're a first-time home buyer, eager to finally get your foot in the door. What factors would you need to consider?
Well, affordability would be top of mind, right? And not just in terms of the purchase price, but also those hidden costs we talked about. Property taxes, maintenance, utilities.
Exactly. And location would be crucial too. Are you willing to compromise on space to be close to downtown amenities? Or do you prioritize a larger home in a more affordable suburb? These are the kinds of questions first-time buyers need to grapple with.
It's like a giant balancing act.
It is. And it's different for everyone. Now, let's say you're a seasoned homeowner looking to upgrade to a larger space. Maybe you've got a growing family, or you're finally ready for that dream kitchen.
Yeah.
What factors come into play there?
Well, you'd need to carefully assess your current financial situation and understand how much equity you have in your existing home. Timing would also be critical. Do you sell first and risk being temporarily homeless? Or do you try to buy and sell simultaneously and hope the stars align?
Those are great points. And of course, you'd need to consider the market conditions. Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? That can significantly impact your negotiating power and ultimately the price you pay or receive for your home.
Okay, one last scenario. Let's say you're an empty nester looking to downsize, perhaps to a smaller condo or a retirement community. What advice would you offer?
Well, for downsizers, it's often about simplifying their lives and reducing their financial burdens. They might be looking for a more manageable space, lower maintenance costs, and perhaps even amenities like a gym or a pool.
So it's not just about the physical space. It's about lifestyle choices and planning for the future.
Exactly. And it's about finding a community that feels right, whether that's a bustling downtown neighborhood or a tranquil suburban enclave.
Wow. It's amazing how each stage of life brings a different set of priorities and considerations to the home buying or selling process.
It truly does. And that's why there's no one-size-fits-all approach to navigating the Toronto housing market. It's about understanding your unique circumstances, your goals, and your risk tolerance.
And it's about doing your research, staying informed, and seeking guidance from trusted professionals when needed.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Remember, folks, knowledge is power, especially in a market as dynamic and unpredictable as Toronto's.
We've reached the end of our deep dive, but the journey continues. We hope you've gained valuable insights and feel better equipped to make those big real estate decisions.
And remember, whether you're buying, selling, or just keeping an eye on the market, understanding the trends and being prepared is key to success.
That's a wrap on our exploration of the Toronto housing market. Until next time, happy house hunting and happy home owning.